All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, in a shocking move, the University of Tennessee has fired head football coach Jeremy Pruitt amidst a slew of level 1 recruiting violations which were brought to light by the school's own internal investigation. Now, along with Pruitt, former Tennessee head football coach and current athletic director Philip Fulmer will be retiring. This right here is a dark day for Tennessee as they have fallen from grace as one of the elite football programs in the Southeastern Conference. You look back at Tennessee and what they've been going through right now. Their last 10-win season came in 2007, which was also their last appearance in the SEC championship game. Tennessee has not won the SEC since 1998, while they have not played in a major bowl game since 2004. The Vols have not finished the season ranked in the top 10 of the Associated Press poll since 2001. Since Philip Fulmer stepped down as Tennessee's head football coach in 2008, they have now had 6 different head football coaches to lead this program, which ain't good. Now, on the field, Tennessee has been taken behind the woodshed by their big 3 rivals, and I'm talking about Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. As you look at it, basically, over the last 15 years or so, Tennessee has about 1 win against Florida, a win here or there versus Georgia, and forget about it with Alabama. I mean, there was a time when the third Saturday in October was looked at as one of the biggest games of the season in college football. That's no longer the case. And unfortunately for the Vols and their fan base, they must accept the fact that they are no longer an elite program. And I know that Neyland Stadium in Knoxville seats well over 100,000 people. And of course, there is plenty of excitement for the orange and white. But the bottom line is they're not a program right now which is going to consistently be ranked, more or less be a top 20 or top 10 team. And you look at it and you ask yourself, what's next for the Vols? First and foremost, they've got to go out there and get an athletic director. And on top of getting an athletic director, they have to look to avoid the guillotine of the NCAA. And the reason why I say it is this, the Vols have parted with Jeremy Pruitt and the Vols did their own internal investigation. But the thing is, that's not to say that the NCAA still won't drop the hammer with a potential bowl ban, with a scholarship reduction. So Tennessee's got to go out there and they've got to be a step ahead of the NCAA. And hopefully for their sake, that would appease the NCAA to say, you know what, okay, you guys have done enough. So I guarantee you what's going to happen with the next AD and the next head football coach. These people are going to come into Knoxville and they're not going to have the same amount of scholarships available to go out there and recruit guys because the school is going to sit back and say, well, hey, you know what? Let's reduce some of the scholarships that we're offering in order to get ahead of the NCAA. That's not to say that the NCAA is going to come in and say, well, you know what? You guys have to do more. So we still have to wait and see. Kevin Steele, who was brought in, the former Auburn defensive coordinator, he was brought in this season to be the defensive coordinator for Tennessee. Former Vol himself, as far as playing for the school, he's now going to be the interim head coach. And, this could be his opportunity to be a head coach in the SEC. We'll have to wait and see. But one name that you are definitely going to hear is the Steele's former employer at Auburn, and I'm talking about Gus Malzahn. Malzahn in 8 seasons at Auburn was 68-35, one SEC title. He did get Auburn to the national championship game once. More importantly, Malzahn was 39-27 within the SEC, and he was 3-5 versus Alabama. And I know that that's still a losing mark right there versus Bama, but I guarantee you, not a lot of coaches could go 3-5 versus Alabama during this current era of what we're seeing from the Crimson Tide in college football. So that still is something that you cannot overlook. For me, I really think if Tennessee wants Malzahn, they must strike on him fast. Why? Because we're going to have a situation where I guarantee you, especially in that region of the country, if you're going to have head coaching openings this time next year, Malzahn's name is definitely going to come up. And if you're Tennessee and you really want him, the longer that you wait, the higher that his value is going to be. So that means the more that you're going to have to put in front of him dollars wise in order to get him to come to Knoxville. I think personally that Malzahn would be good for the job. He knows how to recruit that region of the country. His offense would definitely, bode well for the Tennessee football team. And on top of that, if you have a guy like Malzahn leading Tennessee, he doesn't have to face the same pressure in the SEC East that he did in the SEC West. I mean, you look at it. Malzahn had to deal with Alabama every year, LSU every year, Texas A&M. And then, cross conference games with the likes of Georgia and Florida. Now going to the East, if you're Malzahn, for the sake of argument, you just have to worry about Georgia and Florida. So it's a difference. You would probably be facing Alabama every year, but you don't have to face LSU. You don't have to face A&M every year, and that could definitely change things. But for Tennessee, they've got so much in front of them. I mean, you talk about a potential investigation from the NCAA. They need to find themselves an athletic director. And on top of that, I think the biggest thing for Tennessee, what they have to do, they have to go out there and find a head coach who is going to be able to get the top talent from within the state of Tennessee first and foremost. And then on top of that, he has to go out there and compete in other states in the Southeast, like, Georgia and Florida and South Carolina. And he has to go out there recruiting-wise and compete with the Floridas of the world. He has to go out there and compete with the Georgias of the world. A team that's not even in the SEC, Clemson, you've got to go out there and compete with that program as well, not to mention Alabama, LSU, and Texas A&M. So you have to go out there and find somebody who is a dynamic recruiter, allow him to, build and establish his program and go forward. But right now, Tennessee is not an elite football team. When you think of the top teams in the SEC on the gridiron, Tennessee's not even in the mix. You think about the Floridas, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, and the Texas A&Ms of the world. So Tennessee has definitely taken a back step. It's unfortunate because this is a proud program with a very passionate fan base, and they want to see their team get back there. And like I said before, you've got over 100,000 people coming to each home contest for the orange and white, and they want to have something to be proud of. So for Tennessee, it's back to the drawing board. It is unfortunate, but this is the way it is right now for the Vols. And hopefully for their sake, their next head coaching hire, along with their next AD hire, can be a home run to get them back on track. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to thank all of the subscribers out there. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.